Oh, and we have another person just coming in. Let that person get in before we officially kick off here. Hi, Ellen. Welcome.
Thank you.
We were just going to go ahead and get started. So we are happy to have you join us today. I am filling in for Kathleen while she is out for the day, and we'll go ahead and get started. So let me share. All right. Well, welcome to the Women's Coaching and Consulting Council. Can you guys see the full screen right now, or is it all the whole slide? Perfect. Okay. Well, my name is Sheila Anderson, and on behalf of Kathleen Caldwell, our founder, I am again welcoming you to the C-Suite Network's Women's Coaching and Consulting Council. We have lots of programs all the time. They're always filled with so much revelation and just, great discussions that we all can take away from. So today's session will be about 30 minutes. And again, our founder is Kathleen Caldwell, and she's also the founder of Women's Corporate Coaching Accelerator, the C-Suite Network Coaching and Consulting Council, and the Corporate Roundtable. And you can see she's been very, very a busy woman in her career. Um, so she's written some books, she's done some articles, she's again founded so many programs. We are just thrilled to have her founding our council, and we always learn so much from her. All right, so a big shout out. Again, we do so many fun and wonderful programs, and our very own Christina DiGiacomo did a program on Unlock the Power of AI. And she is amazing. If you have not listened to her when she talks about AI, we have several programs that are recorded and they are on our YouTube channel. And you can see the link on this screen as well, this C-Suite Network Women's Coaching and Consulting Council, the YouTube channel. So go there and be sure to watch previous programs. And again, Christina does a phenomenal job on AI. So I would really, really recommend you go and watch this. And I watch these several times and I'm always taking notes, and you always learn something new again when you watch them again. So my name is Sheila Anderson, and I own a business called Image Power Play, where I work with executives, keynote speakers, and entrepreneurs to help raise their personal image to meet the value of their brand. And I do that through creative direction with style and all the visual aspects that make up your personal brand. So I am been a founding member of the Women's Coaching and Consulting Council, and I take that very seriously. And the honor of being part of this organization has been just very, very wonderful. Meeting all these people, and I know anybody that's in the C-Suite Network and in also this council will absolutely agree with that. So that's just a little bit about who I am if you have not met me. So today's discussion is going to be about perseverance. And so the world right now is more uncertain than ever before, right? There's a lot of volatility, a lot of things happening in the world, um, from businesses growing or declining. There's a lot going on with our economy. Of course, we have a political year right now. There's a lot going on worldwide with across the pond, as we call it sometimes. So the whole world, there's a lot of volatility going on, but there always is, right? There's always going to be that in our lives, right? That's a constant for all of us is it's always uncertainty, right? There's always volatility. And so how do we help ourselves uh go through that, right? How do we come out on the other side? How do we, make better decisions? How do we not get stuck? So that's something that we're going to talk about today when we're going to talk about perseverance. All right. So, one of the first questions I'm going to ask is, how do you weather the storm? So, we've all been through different storms in our lives, and we've all come through them. But sometimes it's really hard when we're going into that storm to figure out, like, can I make it, to the end of the storm? Can I see the sunlight? Can I see the light at the end of the tunnel? And how do we keep going? What is that inside of us that really, really speaks to us and is that gentle nudge or that push? And sometimes it's not gentle, right? Sometimes it's that big push to get out there and to get ahead of something. So somebody want to read this definition of perseverance.
I can.
Okay. Thank you, Ellen.
So, perseverance. Continued effort to do or achieve something despite difficulties, failure, or opposition. Steadfastness, and I can't see all of it, the ability to keep doing something in spite of obstacles.
Yes. That's what perseverance is, right? It's that continued effort to achieve something no matter what, right? No matter what we're going through, no matter what obstacles we have, it's staying the course. So I'm going to ask you this question. What does perseverance mean to you? And I'm going to stop sharing for the moment. So if we just have a discussion on what does perseverance, what does it mean to you?
I will go ahead and start. Well, and predominantly because I get to help people understand persistence. So it's somewhat similar, which is just realizing that we've gone through and weathered storms before. So I call it the highlight reel of just reminding ourselves that something similar has probably happened and that you got to the other side. It's just you have to keep going.
I
You
love
only know when you
yeah.
stop.
I love that analogy of the highlight wheel, right? That's, kind of been there. So I love that. Anyone else?
Definitely the persistence. So Ellen, thank you for using that keyword. This morning, I was using the word tenacity. It's really sticking in, especially when the going gets tough.
Yeah. Right. There's resist. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think that it's an uncompromising relationship with your goals
That's good.
and a belief in yourself. I think these are characteristics of perseverance. And then I think perseverance just sort of naturally flows from those two things.
Right. That is so true, right? It's overcoming challenges or it's just that building that resistance, to want to just stop. Right? Because there's a lot of times we just want to stop, but it's that continuous improvement that we get from right from being resistant and persevering through things is we improve ourselves through that process, right? We learn things about ourselves that maybe we didn't realize. We push through things and like, oh, I can do this. Or you know what? I guess that's kind of my limit. And I, have to learn from that because sometimes we're like, that's just our limit and that's all we can do. So I think there's, and when we think about our long-term goals, sometimes those short-term challenges will try to just, derail us from what that long-term goal is. And so I know it's hard always to keep your eye on that big picture. And it's very well easier said than done. Otherwise, we wouldn't all be talking about, being persevering through things. So I think it's just it's a trait that's really good for us as coaches and consultants to recognize in ourselves. But I also feel like it's a trait that when we're working with our clients, how do we help them through to persevere to their goals, when they get stuck? So how are we teaching in coaching our clients on perseverance. Anybody have any feedback on that? Or thoughts? You
So how are we teaching? So the question is, how are we teaching our clients about?
Yeah, so how do you help your client if they're stuck and you're trying to
Yeah.
get them to be
So I
persevere?
like to tell this story. I like
Okay.
to tell a story. It's a Zen story. So this young man goes to this martial arts master, like a master, and the young man says, I want to be your student and I want to learn martial arts, and I want to be a master, uh, and the master goes, okay, 10 years. And the young man was like, 10 years? What if I work really, really hard and learn really, really fast? And the master goes, 20 years. And the young man is like, wait, that doesn't make sense. I'm working doubly hard. What if I work even harder and faster and I'm dedicated and I'm your devotee? And then the master goes, 30 years. And then the young man just throws up his hands and is like, I don't understand. So the master says, when you have one leg on your destination, the only other leg you have is the one, and it has to work extra hard and take twice as long. And that's the story that I tell about perseverance, because and there's a lot of different aspects of that story, but when it related to perseverance, you have to, all your faculties need to be absolutely committed. And that also includes where your focus is. And it also includes, you may have a desired outcome, but you can't be attached to it, because that actually diminishes your ability to really persevere, because you can't focus on like what's in front of you and what's ahead of you. So yeah, that's the story I share with my clients about perseverance.
That's great. I love that story. It reminds me a little bit of the Karate Kid, right? Where he's wax on, wax off, and he gets just frustrated because he's like, you know, this is I am not learning anything, right? I gotta paint the fence and I gotta do all this stuff, and just what it takes to build that and build that muscle and the things that we have to go through, that may not seem like they're helping, but they really are. So Barbara, do you have any insights or thoughts on? I loved Christina's story.
I would agree. I was anticipating here where you were going, and I could feel it, Christina. So thank you for that. I'm thinking about some of the frustrations, especially when you're working with clients who get so caught up and emotionally attached when they're facing hardships. And so it's not so much a story as really hitting the probing questions about how and why folks are emotionally engaged and being able to get into what is causing that I tend to go through and try to unpack for some of that awareness and self-awareness in order to be able to release and then to help stick in. But then also recognizing when to take that step away, because Christina mentioned this. you can't see always the forest for the trees, and you have to be able to level up in order to recognize when you just need to kind of let go and let things settle in and then re-engage. So for me, it's being able to create that emotional detachment and helping folks get really clear about why they may be stuck,
Mm, right.
and then getting more engaged as they're moving through or need to move through that block, and then sticking into it.
Right. Ellen, do you have any additional thoughts you want to add? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
No, sometimes I think people just said it well, especially with a story. Stories
Yeah.
sell.
Loved that. I think so if I think about my clients, it's consistency for them, right? It's staying consistent, that sometimes even when there's not immediate results, there's still improvements, right? There's still little improvements, that are happening that they may not see. So I feel like, just being consistent right, that's always a good thing anyway, but it's something just to remind yourselves, like, I'm being consistent. It is moving me along. Um, things are happening. So, all right, I'm going to share the screen again, and we will go to the next slide here. The lotus flower. I thought this was beautiful. It's rooted in mud and surrounded by water. The lotus flower symbolizes perseverance as it blooms despite adversity, overcomes obstacles, showcasing its perseverance and beauty to the world. Thought that was beautiful. So we kind of talked a little bit about this already. Like, what inspires or motivates your perseverance and commitment? I'm going to kind of go to this one. I think this is probably a better discussion point right now. So what sidetracks or derails your perseverance and commitment? Like, what gets you personally stuck? I'm going to stop sharing here. When we think about that. So what obstacles do you run across, or how do you find yourself getting stuck? And you maybe just want to give up and not persevere anymore.
Oh, go ahead, Barbara.
I was going to say, I can share because I was sharing this earlier. Sometimes it's the boredness with whatever the problem is and wanting to chase something new. Especially if I personally am in the throes of whatever it is and it's getting old for me. If I want to put that off to the side and chase whatever the new shiny object is, I sometimes have a tendency to do that. Other times I have a tendency to stick in way too long and not recognize when I should just leave it alone and then go away for a minute. But it's the boredness.
Yeah, that's interesting. I can see, that does happen, right? Where we just get, maybe we're just done with it. We're bored with it. We're not going to persevere through it. And, when do you just take a break from it, but come back to it, right? Coming back to it. Anybody else have thoughts on that?
I sort of short circuit when I think about all of the things that encompass like whatever it is that I'm working on. Somehow my brain does not distinguish the difference between something that, I don't have to do for months versus something that I have to do in the next week or so. It like somehow thinks it all has to be done at the same time. And so when I get into that state of like overwhelm, when I really start to take in the whole scope of the work, my brain just like fritzes out a little bit. And you know, I kind of power down like a robot. It just sort of like shut down. And then I have to go through this kind of mental exercise of like, okay, first things first, keep it small, just write one sentence, you know, start with your butt in your seat, like that's great, you know. And thankfully it doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's a total like Netflix and Haagen-Dazs at like, you know, 3 in the afternoon. I can't
Oh,
believe that I just said that and it's being recorded. I'm okay with it. I'm okay. I've accepted this, but it's a work in progress.
right. Yeah, and we all recognize that in ourselves, right? When we,
Yeah.
you know, and I'll join you for that Haagen-Dazs.
Okay. I'll get everyone their favorite flavor. No problem.
Great. Ellen, do you have any thoughts on what gets you stuck or what derails you?
Well, what normally gets me stuck is if I haven't done planning, because if I have forgotten, which is never you forget, but if I haven't written down and I adhere to the writing down the 6 things that I need to do, and it's not always all the operational admin time consuming. It's what are the 6 most important things that drive the business forward. And when that's not in front of me, then it's whatever shiny object and what do I feel needs to be done. And it just completely derails me. And then the next day I have to write down the 6 things.
Yeah. I mean, that's right. Such smart advice, right? To write down those things so we don't get distracted, hopefully,
Mhm.
right? We all have squirrel moments.
Yep.
I'm a little bit like Christina, so I will get into overwhelm with all the steps, breaking them down to like what needs to happen next, what needs to happen next. And it'll be overwhelming to me. And I'm like, right, being very creative, that being really super strategic like that takes a lot of energy, right? A lot of energy from me. And I want to jump to that creative stuff like like right away. But doing I get overwhelmed with sometimes getting really deep into the strategy and all the different steps that I need, to move me, whatever a project I'm working on, to the next level, to the next level, to the next level. And then sometimes I'll just like, oh, I just don't want to do it anymore, right? I don't want to do that anymore because it just feels overwhelming. So I will be joining Christina with ice cream on that. But to get out of it, right? I think if you just, like phone a friend, that's what I'll do. Like I'm stuck. I just can't move forward. And so we as coaches and consultants also need coaches and consultants to help us move forward and to get unstuck. So it's one of the things I really appreciate about the Women's Coaching and Consulting Council and what Kathleen Caldwell has put together for us is, that board of success sisters in a way that we can reach out to each other and help us persevere through something. So that's a beautiful thing that we have here. So go ahead and share again the screen. So we talked a little bit about this already. So how do you keep going in spite of difficulties and obstacles? And do you ask for help, right? How many times do you reach out to somebody and say, I'm stuck. I need help. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm throwing in the towel, whatever it is, right? We all get to those points. And we should always just remember that there's people there to help us through that and are, ready to give you ideas and thoughts and sometimes those difficult conversations with you that just says, suck it up and do it sometimes. So, it's okay to ask for help in a lot of ways. So, all right, we're kind of coming towards the end here. So I'm going to ask you, what were some of your biggest takeaways or insights as you've thought about the word perseverance, as you've heard some of us share about it, or maybe there's just a nugget that you would like to leave for somebody that's going to watch the replay. So if you have a takeaway, or if you have an insight that you thought was really helpful today, or again, if there's just some nugget that you feel you want to share, let's go ahead and do that now. Anybody have a takeaway or?
Yeah, I really loved what Ellen had to say. Have a plan. Like that's a nice reminder. And
Mhm.
have a plan for the derailing too, like what to do when that comes up, you know? So that's it.
Yeah, good.
I would agree. For me, it was the write it down. Have gotten away from the write it down and tend to rely on I'll remember it. I'm really good. I'm really good at remembering. I tend to have a photographic memory. So keeping top of mind what I need to do is something that I always rely on. But it gets past me many times more and more because there's just so much and it's easy to go down rabbit holes. So keeping the list in front of you of the top 5 or 6 things is obviously it's really sound advice, but to hear it again is extremely sound advice. Thank you for that, Ellen.
Ellen, do you have any additional wisdom you want to share? Oh, you're on mute. Go ahead.
It didn't, and then it did. I would just say that what you started with is just a reminder for everyone, no matter where we are, is to remember about persistence and perseverance, and that, and I don't remember where I heard it, but it really is, we only fail when we stop. And so even though it might feel, I'm really careful about words because I don't like to put words out there because they suck it back in. But we'll have days that didn't go just like we thought it would. And I'm reminded there's a consultant, Joe Stumpf, who was brought in by Dean Graziosi, and he does the 7 levels deep exercise, which is 7 questions of why do you want the goal so that you know what drives you. And it's just a reminder, even for all of us, is that for us to be persistent is to remember what the prize is.
That was, yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Mhm.
Those, the 7 whys or
Brilliant. Makes people cry.
yeah, it's an amazing exercise to do. So for me, I loved the prioritization and the planning. And one of the things that I think about when I, if a day didn't go the way I wanted or had planned, but I'm still working towards my goal, is like hopefully I did my personal best that day. And every day my personal best may be a little different. And so sometimes, giving yourself some grace as working through a goal or a project that you're just maybe feeling stuck, or you're um, maybe you're bored with it, as Barbara said. But just trying to do your personal best that day, and just recognizing in yourself that that's maybe different. So some days you're maybe just going to be knocking it out of the park, getting a lot done. You feel like you're just, hey, I checked off 6 things and I added another thing to my list, right? I had time to do that one too. And then there's some days that all you can do is one thing on your list, and that's okay, right? That's okay. Not consistently doing it that way, but just recognizing that our personal best for the day is sometimes different. So thank you for those thoughts. I'm gonna go back here to a few other slides that she prepared for us, Kathleen did. So there's more to come. So I don't know how many of you have joined the Saturday morning Women's Success Circle. So every Saturday, Kathleen meets for 27 minutes for an inspiring conversation. And there's a lot of great topics, and it's really, really a nice way to start your weekend. get some perspective, and those 27 minutes are really, really powerful. So I encourage you to attend one of those sessions. I think this is like number 105 or 106 consecutive ones that she has done, which is amazing. So, that's just grab a cup of coffee and join us on Saturday. So there is more to come. So our next session is on June 13th, and Liz Luckett is a new C-Suite Network Women's Coaching and Consulting Council member. So we are excited to have her, and she's going to talk about amplifying the power of your voice for global impact. So that sounds amazing, right? I can't wait to hear from Liz. We're excited to have her join us on June 13th. So there's a link to register. There will also be a link in the C-Suite Network, and Kathleen's really good about posting on LinkedIn as well, those different links. And again, here at the Women's Coaching and Consulting Council, we love to promote, showcase, and highlight you. And we use this to give you a platform to rise and shine. So if you have ideas on maybe a program that you would like to do and bring to the Women's Coaching and Consulting Council, reach out to Kathleen and have a conversation about that, because we would love to showcase your talents and the things that you work on, and help all of us learn from you. So with that, again, a reminder to go to our YouTube channel, and there's the link there, and watch some of these replays. They're wonderful. You'll take notes and invite some of your friends or some other coaches and consultants to go to the YouTube channel and check us out. So that would be great to do. And if you want some time one-on-one with Kathleen Caldwell, you absolutely can schedule that. And here's her Calendly link, and just have a conversation with her. Just learn a little bit more about the Women's Coaching and Consulting Council if you're not a member. If you are a member, you can still reach out to her. She'd love to have a conversation with you and to see how this council can help you grow and to help you learn from others. So we thank you for joining us today, and thank you to all of you that are here today, and then those of you that are going to watch us on replay. We are happy that you are learning something from all of our information that we've shared, and we do want you to persevere, and we want you to have perseverance in all that you're doing, in all your goals, and in your business, and not only your business, but your just life in general, right? Because life is in session for all of us all the time. So with that, have a wonderful day, and we hope to see you at our next event. All right. Thank you. Stop recording, right?